Did you hear what I was playing, Lane?
I didn't think you'd like to listen, sir.
I'm sorry for that, for your sake. I don't play accurately. Anyone can play accurately, but I play with wonderful expression. As far as the piano is concerned, sentiment is my forte. Keep science for life.
Yes, sir.
Speaking of the science of life, you've got cucumber sandwiches cut for Lady Bracknell.
Yes, sir.
By the way, Lane, I see from your book that on Thursday night, when Lord Chairman and Mr. Worthing dined here last, 8 bottles of champagne are identified as having been consumed.
Yes, sir. 8 bottles and a pint, sir.
Why is it that in a bachelor's establishment, the servants invariably drink the champagne? I ask you for information.
I attribute it to the superior quality of the wine, sir. I've often observed that in married households, the champagne is rarely of a first-rate brand.
Good heavens! Is marriage really so demoralizing as that?
I believe it is a very pleasant state, sir. I've had very little experience of it myself at the present. I've only been married once, and that was in consequence to a misunderstanding between myself and a young person.
I'm not sure I'm much interested in your family life, Lane.
No, sir. It isn't a very interesting subject. I never think of it myself.
Very natural, I'm sure. That will do, Lane. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Lane's views on marriage seem somewhat lax. Really, if the law orders get set as a good example, then what on earth is the use of them? They seem as a class to have absolutely no sense of moral responsibility.
Mr. Ernest Worthing.
My dear friend Earnest, what brings you up to town?
Oh, pleasure. What else should bring one anyway? Eating as usual, I see, Alfie.
I believe it is customary in good society. Today's on slight refreshment at 5 o'clock. What have you been since last Thursday?
In the country.
What on earth do you do that?
When one is in town, one amuses oneself. When one is in the country, one amuses other people. It's excessively boring.
And who would people you amuse?
Oh, neighbours. Neighbours.
Got nice neighbours in your bottle shop, sir?
Perfectly horrid. Never speak to one of them.
And how immensely you must amuse them. By the way, Shropshire is your county, is it not?
Shropshire? Oh, yes, of course. Hello. Why all these cups? Why cucumber sandwiches? Why such reckless extravagance in one so young? Who is coming to tea?
Oh, merely Aunt Augusta. And Gwendolen.
How perfectly delightful.
Oh, yes, that is all very well, but I'm afraid Aunt Augusta won't quite approve of your being here.
May I ask why?
My dear fellow, the way you flirt with Gwendolen is perfectly disgraceful. It's almost as bad as the way Gwendolen flirts with you.
I'm in love with Gwendolen. I've come up to town expressly to propose to her.
I thought you said you'd come up for pleasure. I call that business.
How utterly unromantic you are.
I really don't see anything romantic in proposing. Why, what may be accepted. Then the excitement is all over. The very essence of romance is uncertainty. If I ever get married, I'll certainly try to forget the fact.
There's absolutely no doubt about that, my dear Algie. The divorce court was specially invented for people whose memories are so curiously constituted.
There is no use speculating on that subject. Divorces are made in heaven. Oh, please don't touch the cucumber sandwiches. They were ordered specially for Aunt Augusta.
No, you have been eating them all the time.
That is quite a different matter. She is my aunt. Have some bread and butter. Well, the bread and butter is for Gwendolen. Gwendolen is devoted to bread and butter.
And very good bread and butter it is.
My dear fellow, you need not eat as if you're going to eat it all. Behave as if you are married to already. You are not married to already, and I don't think you ever will be.
Why don't you say that?
In the first place, girls never marry the men they flirt with. Girls don't think it right.
Oh, that is nonsense.
It isn't. It is the great truth. It accounts for the extraordinary number of bachelors that one sees all over the place. And in the second place, I know you find consent.
Your consent?
My dear fellow, Gwendolen is my first cousin. And before I allow you to marry her, you will have to clear up the whole question of Cecily.
Cecily? What on earth do you mean? What do you mean, Algie, by Cecily? I don't know anyone with the name of Cecily.
Please bring the cigarette case that Mr. Worthing left in the smoking room last time you down here.
Yes, sir.
Do you mean to say you have had my cigarette case all this time? I wish to goodness you had let me know. I've been writing frantic letters about it to Scotland Yard.
Well, I wish you would offer one. I happen to be more than usually hard up.
There's no good offering of our reward now that the thing is found.
That is rather mean of you, Ernest, I must say. However, now that I look at the inscription inside, I see that the thing isn't yours after all.
Of course it is mine. You have seen me with it 100 times, and you have no right whatsoever to read what is written inside it. It's a very ungentlemanly thing to read a private cigarette case.
Yes, so this isn't your cigarette case. This cigarette case was given as a present from someone in the name of Cecily. And you said you didn't know anyone of that name.
Well, if you want to know, Cecily happens to be my aunt.
Your aunt?
Yes, charming old lady she is too, lives in Tunbridge Wells. Just give it back to me, Algy.
Why does she call herself Little Cecily? From Little Cecily with her fondest love.
My dear fellow, what on earth is there in that? Some aunts are tall, some aunts are not tall. But it's a matter of maybe knows how to decide for himself. You seem to think that all aunts should be exactly like your aunt. That is absurd. For heaven's sake, give me back my cigarette case.
Why does your aunt call you her uncle? From Little Cecily with her fondest love to her dear Uncle Jack. There is no objection, I admit, to an aunt being a small aunt, but an aunt, no matter what her size may be, should call her own nephew or uncle, I can't make out. Besides, your name isn't Jack at all, it's Ernest.
It isn't Ernest, it's Jack.
But you have always told me it was Ernest. I have introduced you to everyone as Ernest. You answered to the name of Ernest. You are the most earnest-looking person I ever saw in my life. It is perfectly absurd you're saying your name is Ernest. It's on your cards.
Well, my name is Ernest in town and Jack in the country. And the cigarette case was given to me in the country.
Yes, but that does not account for the fact that your small aunt Cecily lives in the country with her dear uncle. Come, old boy, you'd much better have the thing out at once.
My dear Algy, you talk exactly as if you were a dentist. It is a very vulgar thing to talk like a dentist when one isn't a dentist. It produces a false impression.
Yes, but that is exactly what dentists always do. Now go on. Tell me why you're Ernest in town and Jack in the country. I may mention that I've always suspected you of being a confirmed and secret Bunburyist, and I'm quite sure of it now.
Bunbury? What on earth do you mean by Bunbury?
I'll reveal to you the meaning of that incomparable expression as soon as you are kind enough to inform me why you're Ernest in town and Jack in the country.
Well, produce my cigarette case first.
Here it is. Now produce your explanation and pray make it improbable.
My dear fellow, there's nothing improbable about my explanation at all. In fact, it is perfectly ordinary. Old Mr. Thomas Cardew, who adopted me when I was a little boy, made me in his will guardian for his granddaughter, Miss Cecily Cardew. Cecily, who refers to me as her uncle from motives of respect you could not possibly appreciate, lives at my place in the country under the charge of her admirable governess, Miss Prison.
Where is that place in the country, by the way?
That is nothing to you, dear boy. You are not going to be invited. I may tell you candidly that the place is not in Shropshire.
I suspected that, my dear fellow. I have Bunburyed all over Shropshire on 2 separate occasions. Now go on. Tell me the whole thing. Tell me why you're Ernest in town and Jack in the country.
My dear Algy, I don't know whether you will be able to understand my real motives. You're hardly serious enough. When one is placed in the position of guardian, one must adopt a very high moral tone. It is one's duty to do so. And as a high moral tone can hardly be said to conduce very much to either one's health or one's happiness, in order to get out of town, I have invented a younger brother of the name of Earnest, who lives in the Albany and gets into those dreadful scrapes. That, my dear fellow, is the whole truth, pure and simple.
The truth is round and pure and never simple. Modern life would be very tedious if it were either. What you really are is a Bunburyist. I was quite right in saying you are a Bunburyist. You are one of the most advanced Bunburyists I know.
What on earth do you mean?
You have invented a very useful younger brother called Ernest, so that you may be able to come to town as often as you like. I have invented a permanent invalid called Bunbury, so that I may be able to go down into the country whenever I choose. If it wasn't for Bunbury's extraordinarily bad health, for instance, I wouldn't be able to dine with you tonight at Willis's. I've really been engaged to Aunt Augusta for more than a week.
I haven't asked you to dine with me anyway tonight. You had much better dine with your Aunt Augusta.
Oh, I have no smallest intention of doing anything of the kind. In the first place, I dine there on Monday, and once a week is quite enough to dine with one's own relations. In the second place, I know exactly whom she will place me next to. She will place me next to many fine flirts with her own husband from across the dinner table. The amount of women in London who flirt with their own husbands is perfectly scandalous. It's simply washing one's clean linen in public. Besides, now that I know you to be a confirmed Bunburyist, naturally I want to talk to you about Bunbury. I want to tell you the rules.
I'm not a Bunburyist at all. If I marry Gwendolen, I shall kill my brother. Indeed, I'll kill him in any case. Cecily is a little too much interested in him. It is rather a bore, so I'm going to get rid of Ernest, and I highly advise you to do the same with your with your invalid friend with the absurd name.
Nothing will induce me to part with Bunbury. If you ever get married, it seems to me extremely problematic. You'll be very glad to know Bunbury. Any man who gets married without knowing Bunbury has a very tedious time of it.
Oh, that is nonsense. If I marry a charming girl like Gwendolen, and if she is the only girl in the world I saw that I would marry, I certainly won't want to know Bunbury.
Then your wife will. What you don't seem to realize, my dear fellow, is that in married life, 3 is company, and 2 is none.
That, my dear young friend, is the theory that the corrupt French drama has been propounding for the last 50 years.
Yes, and that the acting of the show has improved in half the time. Oh, that must be out of Augusta. Only relatives and creditors ever ring in that Wagnerian manner. Oh, if I can get her out of the way for 10 minutes so that you may have the opportunity of proposing to Gwendolen, may I dine with you tonight, Ulysses?
I suppose so, if you want to.
Lady Bracknell and Miss Fairfax.
Good afternoon, Algernon. I hope you're behaving very well.
I'm feeling very well, Augusta.
That is not quite the same thing. In fact, the two things rarely go together.
I'm always smart. Am I not, Mr. Worthing?
You're quite perfect, Miss Fairfax.
Oh, I hope I'm not that. It would leave no room for developments. And I intend to develop in many directions.
So sorry if you're a little late, dear Algernon, but I was obliged to call on dear Lady Harbury. I haven't been there since her poor husband's death. I never saw a woman look so altered. She looks quite 20 years younger. And now I think I will have a cup of tea and one of those nice cucumber sandwiches you promised me.
Certainly, Augusta.
Gwendolen, won't you come sit here?
Thanks, Mama. I'm quite comfortable where I am.
Good heavens, Lane, where are all the cucumber sandwiches? I ordered them especially.
There were no cucumbers in the market this morning, sir. I went down twice.
No cucumbers?
No, sir. Not even for ready money.
That will do, Lane, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
I'm greatly distressed, Augusta, that there be no cucumber sandwiches.
It really makes no matter, Algernon. I had some crumpets with dear Lady Harbury, who seems to me to be leaving entirely for pleasure now.
I never had a myself.
It certainly has changed its colour. From what cause, I cannot say. Thank you. Oh, I've quite a treat for you tonight, Algernon. I'm going to settle down with Mary Farquhar. She is such a nice woman, and so attentive to her husband. It's delightful to watch them.
I'm afraid, Augusta, that I shall have to give up the pleasure of dining with you tonight.
Oh, I hope not, Algernon. It would put my table completely out. Your dear uncle would have to dine upstairs. But fortunately, he's accustomed to that.
It is a great disappointment, and I need hardly say a terrible bore. But I have just received a telegram to say that my poor friend Bunbury is fallen ill again, and they seem to think I should be with him.
It's very strange. This Mr. Bunbury seems to suffer from curiously bad health.
Yes, poor Bunbury is a dreadful invalid.
Well, I must say, Algernon, that I think it is high time that Mr. Bunbury made up his mind whether he was going to live or die. Shimmy-shammy with the question is upstairs, nor do I in any way approve of the modern-day sympathies for invalids. I consider it morbid. Illness of any kind is hardly a thing to be encouraged in others. But I would be much obliged, Algernon, if you would ask Mr. Bunbury from me not to have a relapse on Saturday, because I rely on you to arrange my music for me. It is my last reception, and one wants something that will encourage conversation, particularly at the end of the season when everybody has practically said whatever they've had to say, which in most cases was not much.
I will talk to Bunbury, Aunt Augusta. he is still conscious. But I think I can promise you he'll be alright by Saturday. If the course of music is a great difficulty, if one plays good music, people don't talk. One plays bad music, people don't listen. But I will run over the program I've drawn up for you if you'll kindly find the next room for a moment.
Thank you, Algernon. That is very thoughtful of you. I'm sure the program will be delightful after a few explanations. French songs I couldn't possibly allow. People always seem to think that they are improper and look shocked, which is vulgar, or laugh, which is worse. But German sounds to me a highly respectful language, and indeed I believe it is her. Gwendolen, you will accompany me?
Certainly, Mamma.
Charming day it has been, Miss Fairfax.
Pray, don't talk to me about the weather, Mr. Worthing. Whenever people talk to me about the weather, I always feel quite certain they mean something else. And that makes me so nervous.
I do mean something else.
I thought so. In fact, I'm never wrong.
And I would like to take advantage of Lady Bracknell's temporary absence.
I would certainly advise you to do so. Mamma has a way of coming back suddenly in a full room that I've often had to speak to her about.
Miss Fairfax, ever since I've met you, I've admired you more than any girl I've ever met since I met you.
Yes, I'm quite well aware of the fact. And I often wish that in public, at any rate, you had been slightly more demonstrative. For me, you have always had an irresistible fascination. Even before I met you, I was far from indifferent to you. We live, as I hope you know, Mr. Worthing, in an age of ideals. The fact is constantly being mentioned in more expensive monthly magazines, and has reached provincial pulpits, I am told. And my ideal has always been to have someone of the name of Earnest. There is something in that name that inspires absolute confidence. The moment Algernon first mentioned to me that he had a friend called Earnest, I knew I was destined to love you.
You really love me, Gwendolen.
Passionately.
You don't know how happy you've made me.
My own Ernest.
But you don't say that you couldn't love me if my name wasn't Ernest.
But your name is Ernest.
Yes, of course it is. But supposing it was something else. Do you mean to say you couldn't love me then?
Ah, that is clearly a metaphysical speculation. And like most metaphysical speculation, has very little reference at all to the actual facts of real life as we know them.
Well, really, Gwendolen, to speak quite candidly, I don't much care for the name of Ernest. I don't think it suits me at all.
It suits you perfectly. It is a divine name. It has a music of its own. It produces vibrations.
I think there are a lot of much nicer names. I think Jack, for instance. Charming name.
Jack. No, there is very little music in the name Jack. When you know indeed, it does not thrill. It produces absolutely no vibrations. I have known several Jacks, and they all, without exception, were more than usually played. Besides, Jack is notorious and was to speak for John. I pity any woman who is married to a man called John. The only really sick name is Ernest.
Gwendolen, I must get christened at once. I mean, we must get married at once. There is no time to be lost.
Married, Mr. Worthing.
Well, surely you know that I love you, Miss Fairfax? You led me to believe that you weren't absolutely indifferent towards me.
I adore you, but you haven't proposed to me yet. Nothing has been said at all about marriage. The subject has not even been touched on.
Well, may I propose to you now?
I think it would be an admirable opportunity. And to spare you any possible disappointment, Mr. Worthing, I think it only fair to tell you quite frankly beforehand that I am fully determined to accept you.
Gwendolen!
Yes, Mr. Worthing, what have you got to say to me?
You know what I've got to say to you.
But you don't say it.
Gwendolen, will you marry me?
Of course I will, darling. How long you have been about it? I'm afraid you have had very little experience in how to propose.
I've never loved anyone in the world but you.
Yes, but men often propose for practice. I know my brother Gerald does. All my girlfriends tell me. What wonderfully blue eyes you have, Ernest. They are quite blue. Oh, I hope that you will always look at me just like that, especially when there are other people present.
Mr. Worthy, Mama! Rise her from that semi-recumbent posture, which is most generous.
I was begging to retire. This is no place for you. Besides, Mr. Worthing is not quite finished yet.
Finished what?
I am engaged to Mr. Worthing, Mamma.
But you are not engaged to anyone. When you do become engaged to someone, I or your father will inform you of the fact. An engagement will come on a young man as a surprise, pleasant or unpleasant as the case may be. It is hardly a fact of an arrangement that she could be allowed to do for herself. And now I have a few questions to put to you, Mr. Worthing. While I am making these inquiries, you, Gwendolen, will wait for me below in the carriage.
Mama!
The carriage, Gwendolen. Gwendolen, the carriage!
Yes, Mama!
You may take a seat, Mr. Worthing.
Thank you, Lady Bracknell. I prefer standing.
I feel bound to tell you that you are not down on my list of eligible young men. Though it is the same list that the dear Duchess of Bolton has. We work together, in fact. However, I'm quite ready to enter your names should your answers be what a really affectionate mother requires. Do you smoke?
Well, yes, I must admit I do smoke.
I am pleased to hear it. A man should always have an occupation of some kind. There are far too many idle men in London as it is. How old are you?
29.
A very good age to be married at. I have always been of the opinion that a man who desires to get married should know everything or nothing. What do you know?
I know nothing, Lady Bracknell.
I am pleased to hear it. I do not approve of anything that tampers with natural ignorance. Ignorance is like a delicate exotic fruit. Touch it, and the bloom is gone. The whole theory of modern education is radically unsound. Fortunately, in England, at any rate, education produces no effect whatsoever. Indeed, it would prove to be a serious danger to the upper classes and would probably lead to acts of violence and gross crime. What is your income?
Between 7,000 and 8,000 a year.
In land or investments?
In investments, chiefly. I have a house in the country, of course, with some land attached to it. About 1,500 acres, I believe. But I don't rely on that for my real income.
A town? A country house? How many bedrooms? Oh no, that matter can be cleared up afterward. Not a townhouse, I hope. A girl with a simple and spoiled nature like Gwendolen could hardly be expected to reside in the country.
Well, yes, I do have a house in Belgrave Square, but it is let.
Belgrave Square? What number?
149.
The unfashionable side. I knew there was something. However, that could be altered.
Do you mean the fashion or the sign?
Both if necessary, I presume. Now, to minor matter. Are your parents living?
I have lost both my parents.
To lose one parent, Mr. Worthing, may be regarded as misfortune. To lose both looks like carelessness. Who was your father? He was evidently a man of some wealth. Was he what the radical papers call the purple of commerce, or did he rise from the ranks of aristocracy?
I'm afraid I really don't know. The fact is, Lady Bracknell, I said I had lost my parents. It would be near the truth to say that my parents seem to have lost me. I don't actually know who I am by birth. I was found.
Found?
The late Mr. Thomas Cardew, an old gentleman of a very charitable and kindly disposition, found me and gave me the name of Worthing because he happened to have a first-class ticket to Worthing in his pocket. Worthing is a place in Sussex. It is a seaside resort.
And where did this charitable gentleman who had the first class ticket to the seaside resort find you?
In a handbag.
A handbag?
Yes, Lady Bracknell was in a handbag. Somewhat large, black, with handles to it. An ordinary handbag, in fact.
What locality did this James or Thomas Cardew come across this ordinary handbag?
The cloakroom at Victoria Station.
Cloakroom at You're lying to never tell you. Mr. Worthing, I confess I feel somewhat bewildered by what you have just told me. To be born or at any rate bred in a handbag, whether it had handles or not, seems to me to display a contempt to the ordinary beginnings of family life that reminds one of the worst excesses of the French Revolution. And I presume you know what that unfortunate movement led to? As for the particular locality in where the handbag was found, the cloakroom at a railway station might serve to conceal a scope for a discussion, but could hardly be regarded as an assured basis for a recognized position in good society.
Well, may I ask you what you would advise me to do then, Lady Bracknell? I need not say that I would do anything in the world to ensure Gwendolen's happiness.
I would strongly advise you, Mr. Worthing, to try and acquire some relations as soon as possible, and make a definite effort, at any rate, one parent of either sex before the season is quite over.
Well, I don't see how I could possibly do that. I could produce the handbag at any moment. It is in my possession. I really think that should satisfy you, Lady Bracknell.
Me? What has it to do with me? You hardly expect that I and Lord Bracknell would allow our only daughter, a girl to raise with the utmost care, to marry into a cloakroom and form an alliance with a parson. Good morning, Mr. Worthing.
Good morning. Stop playing that ghastly tune out, James. How utterly idiotic you are.
Didn't it go off all right, old boy? You didn't mean to say Gwendolen refused you.
Gwendolen is right as a trivet. As far as she's concerned, we're engaged. Her mother is perfectly unbearable. Never met such a gorgon. I don't really know where a gorgon is, but I suppose Lady Bracknell is one. I beg your pardon, Algy. I suppose I shouldn't talk in that manner about your aunt before you.
My dear fellow, I love hearing my relations abused. It is the only thing that makes me put up with them at all. Relations are simply a tedious pack of people who haven't the remotest knowledge of how to live, nor the smallest instinct about when to die.
There's a chance of Gwendolen becoming like a mother in about 150 years.
All women become like their mothers. That's a tragedy. No man does. That's his.
Is that clever?
Yes, perfectly phrased. By the way, did you tell Gwendolen the truth about your being Earnest in town and Jack in the country?
My dear fellow, the truth isn't quite the sort of thing one says to a nice, sweet, refined girl. What extraordinary ideas you have about the way to behave to a woman.
The only way to behave to a woman is to make love to her if she is pretty, and to someone else if she is plain. What about your brother? What about the property of Earnest?
Oh, I shall have got rid of him by the end of the week. I'll say he died in Paris of apoplexy. Lots of people die quite suddenly of apoplexy, don't they, Alfred?
Yes, but it is hereditary, my dear fellow. The sort of thing that runs in families. You would much better say a severe chill.
And you are sure that a severe chill isn't hereditary or anything of the kind?
Of course it isn't.
Very well. My dear brother Ernest is carried off in Paris quite suddenly by a severe chill. That gets rid of him.
I thought you said in Miss Carr she was a little too interested in your brother. Won't she feel this also good deal?
No, that is all right. Cecily isn't a silly romantic girl, I'm glad to say. She has a capital appetite, goes on long walks, and pays no attention at all to her lessons.
I should very much like to see Cecily.
I will take very good care that you never do. Cecily is excessively pretty, and only just 18.
Have you told Gwendolen that you have an excessively pretty ward that is only just 18?
No, one simply doesn't blurt these things out to people. Gwendolen and Cecily are perfectly certain to be great friends. I'll bet you anything that half an hour after they've met, they'll be calling each other sister.
Women only do that once they've called each other a lot of other things first. I don't know, David, but it seems to be really best dressed. Did you know it is nearly 7?
Oh, it always is nearly 7.
Well, I'm hungry.
I never knew you when you weren't.
What shall we do after dinner? Perhaps we'll go to the theatre?
Oh no, I loathe listening.
Then let us go to the club.
Oh no, I hate talking.
Perhaps we might trot around to the Empire around 10?
Oh no, I can't bear looking at things.
Then what shall we do?
Nothing.
Miss Fairfax.
Gwendolen, upon my word.
Algy, kindly turn your back. I have something very particular to say to Mr. Worthing.
Gwendolen, I don't think I can allow this at all.
Algy, you always adopt a strictly immoral attitude towards life. We're not quite old enough yet to do that.
Yeah, what?
Ernest, we may never be married. From the expression of Mamma's face, I fear we never shall. Very few parents nowadays pay any regard to what their children say to them. The old-fashioned respect for the young is fast dying out. Whatever influence I had with Mamma, I lost at the age of 3. But although she may prevent us from becoming man and wife, and I may marry someone else, and marry often, nothing that she can possibly do can alter my eternal devotion to you.
I don't want.
The story of your romantic origin, as related to me by Mamma with unpleasing comments, has naturally stirred the deeper fibers of my nature. Your Christian name has an irresistible fascination. The simplicity of your character makes you exquisitely incomprehensible to me. Your town address at the Albany I have. What is your address in the country?
The Manor House, Wilton, Hertfordshire.
There is a good postal service, I presume? It may be necessary to do something desperate. That course will require serious consideration. I will communicate with you daily.
I own one.
How long do you remain in town?
Till Monday.
Good. Algy, you may turn around now.
Thanks, I've turned around already.
You may also ring the bell.
You will let me see into your carriage, my young lady?
Certainly.
I will see Miss Fairfax up.
A glass of Cherry Lane.
Yes, sir.
I shall probably not be back until Monday. I'm going bundering.
Yes, sir.
Put up all my smoking jackets, my dress clothes, and all the Bunbury suits.
Yes, sir.
I shall, I hope tomorrow will be a fine day, Lane.
It never is, sir.
You're a perfect pessimist, Lane.
I do try to give satisfaction, sir.
When I go out the door, of gamble them to score, of trying to burn everything against the bed, of putting your bones upon the
than yours, especially at a moment when intellectual pleasures await you.
Your German grammar's on the table. Pray open it to page 15. We will repeat yesterday's lesson.
But I don't like German. It just seems all a becoming language. I know perfectly well that I look quite plain after my German lesson.
Child, you know how anxious your guardian is and you should improve yourself in every way. He laid particular stress on your German as he was leaving for town yesterday. Indeed, he always lays stress on your German as he's leaving for town.
Dear Uncle Jack is so very serious.
Sometimes he is so serious I think he cannot be quite well.
Your guardian enjoys the best of health, and his gravity of demeanour is to be especially commended in one so comparatively young as he is. I know no one of a higher sense of duty and responsibility.
I suppose that is why he often looks a little bored when we three are together.
Cecily, I'm surprised at you. Mr. Worthing has many troubles in his life. Idle merriment and triviality would be out of place in this conversation. But you must always remember his constant anxiety with that unfortunate young man, his brother.
I wish Uncle Jack would allow that unfortunate young man with his brother to come down here sometimes. We might have a good influence over him in this prison. I'm sure you certainly would. You know German and geology, and things of that kind influence a man very much.
I do not think that even I could produce any effect on a character who, according to his own brother's admission, is irretrievably weak and vacillating. Indeed, I would not desire to reclaim him. I'm not in favour of this modern mania for turning bad people into good people at a moment's notice. As a man sows, so let him be. You must put away your diary, Cecily. I do not see why you should keep a diary at all.
I keep a diary in order to enter the wonderful secrets of my life. If I didn't write them down, I should probably forget all about them.
Memory, my dear Cecily, is a diary that we carry about with us.
Yes, but it usually chronicles the things that have never happened, and couldn't possibly have happened. I believe that memory is responsible for nearly all the 3-volume novels that Moody sends us.
Do not speak slightingly of the 3-volume novel, Cecily. I wrote them myself in earlier days.
How wonderfully clever you are. I don't want to end happily. I don't like novels that end happily. They depress me so much.
The good ended happily, and the bad unhappily. That's what fiction means.
I suppose so, but it all seems very unfair. And was your novel ever published?
Alas, no. The manuscript was unfortunately abandoned. I use the sense of the word, lost or mislaid. To your work, child, these speculations are profitless.
But I see Dr. Chasuble coming up to the garden.
Dr. Chasuble, this is indeed a pleasure.
Miss Prison, you are, I trust, well.
Miss Prison has just been complaining of a slight headache. I think we do her so much good to have a short stroll through the park, Dr. Chasuble.
Cecily, I have not mentioned anything about headache.
I know that, but I felt instinctively that you had a headache. That knows about my German lesson when the rector came in.
I hope, Cecily, you are not inattentive.
Oh, I'm afraid I am.
This is strange. Well, unfortunately enough to be Miss Prison's people, I would hang before her lips. I spoke metaphorically. My metaphors draw from bees. Mr. Worthing, I suppose, is not returned from town yet?
We do not expect him to Sunday afternoon.
Ah, yes. He usually likes to spend his Sunday in London. He's not one whose sole aim is enjoyment. By all accounts, that unfortunate young man, his brother, seems to be. But I will not disturb Egeria and her pupil any longer.
Egeria? My name is Letitia.
A classic illusion merely, drawn from pagan authors. I will no doubt see both the Cupid song.
I think, dear doctor, I will have a stroll with you. I find I do have a headache after all. The walk might do it good.
With pleasure, Miss Prison, with pleasure. We go so far as the schools and that.
Oh, that would be delightful. Cecily, you'll read your political economy in my absence. The chapter on the fall of the rupee you may omit. Somewhat too sensational. Even these metallic problems have a melodramatic side.
Horrid political economy, horrid geography, horrid German.
Mr. Ernest Worthing has just driven over from the station. He has brought his luggage with him.
Mr. Ernest Worthing, B for the Albany W, Uncle Jack's brother. Did you tell him Mr. Worthing was in town?
Yes, miss. He seemed very much disappointed. I told him that you and Miss Prism were in the garden. He said he would like to speak to you privately for a moment.
Tell Mr. Ernest Worthing to come here. I suppose you're going to talk to the housekeeper about a room for him?
Yes, miss.
I've never met any really wicked person before. I feel rather frightened. I'm so afraid he will look just like everyone else. He does.
You are my little cousin Cecily, I am sure.
You are under some strange mistake. I'm not little. In fact, I believe I'm more than usually tall for my age. But I am your cousin Cecily. You, I see from your card, are Uncle Jack's brother. My cousin Ernest. My wicked cousin Ernest.
What? I'm not really wicked. You mustn't think that I'm wicked, cousin Cecily.
Well, if you are not, then you have certainly been deceiving us all in a very inexcusable manner. I hope you have not been leading a double life, pretending to be wicked and being really good all the time. That would be hypocrisy.
Oh, well, I have been rather reckless.
I'm glad to hear it.
I mentioned the subject. I've been very bad in my own small way.
I don't think you should be so proud of that. Though I'm sure it must have been very pleasant.
It's much pleasanter being here with you.
I can't understand how you're here at all. Uncle Jack won't be back until Monday afternoon.
It's a great disappointment. I'm obliged to go up on the first train Monday morning. I have a business opportunity that I am anxious to miss.
Well, I know, of course, how important it is not to keep a business engagement if one wants to retain any sense of the future life. But still, I think you'd better wait till Uncle Jack arrives. I know he wants to speak to you about your emigrating.
About my what?
You're emigrating. He has gone up to buy your outfit.
No, I certainly wouldn't let Jack buy my outfit. There's no place in neckties at all.
Oh, I don't think you will require neckties. Uncle Jack is sending you to Australia.
Australia? I'd sooner die.
Well, he said at dinner on Wednesday night that you have to choose between this world, the next world, and Australia.
The accounts I have received of Australia and the next world are not particularly encouraging. This world is good enough for you, cousin Cecily.
Yes, but are you good enough for it?
I'm afraid I am not that. That is why I would like you to reform me. You might make that omission if you don't mind, cousin Cecily.
I'm afraid of no time this afternoon.
Well, then would you mind my reforming myself?
I think it is rather quixotic of you, but I think you should try.
I will. I feel better already. But I'm hungry.
How thoughtless of me! I should have remembered that when one is going to lead an entirely new life, one requires regular and wholesome meals. Won't you come in?
Thank you. Might I have a buttonhole first? I never have any appetite unless I have a buttonhole first.
A martial meal?
No, I'd sooner have a pink rose.
Why?
Because you are like a pink rose, cousin Cecily.
I don't think it can be right for you to talk to me like that. Miss Prism never says such things to me.
And Miss Prism is a short-sighted old lady. You are the prettiest girl I ever saw.
Miss Prism says all good looks are a snare.
They are a snare that any sensible man would like to be called in.
Oh, I don't think I would care to catch a sensible man. I shouldn't know what to talk to him about.
Believe me, I do not deserve so neologistic a phrase. The precept as well as the practice of the primitive church was distinctly against matrimony.
Well, that is obviously why the primitive church is not lasting in the present day. And you do not seem to realize, dear doctor, that by persistently remaining single, a man converts himself into a permanent public vocation. If venture to be more careful, this very celibacy leads weaker vessels astray.
Isn't that incredibly attractive when married?
No married man is ever attractive, except to his wife.
Often as I'm told, not even to her.
Well, that depends on the intellectual sympathies of the woman. Maturity can always be depended on. Brightness can be trusted. Young women are green. I spoke horticulturally. My metaphor was from fruits. Where is Cecily?
But perhaps she's fallen to the school. wedding?
We did not expect you till Monday afternoon.
I've returned sooner than I expected. Dr. Chasuble, I hope you are well.
Dear Mr. Worthing, I trust the Scarborough Road does not return into the terrible calamity.
My brother,
More shameful debts and extravagance?
Still leading his life of pleasure.
dead.
Dead.
Quite dead.
What a lesson for him. I suppose he will profit by it.
Mr. Worthing, you have my sincere condolence. You have at least the consolation of knowing that you are always the most generous and forgiving of brothers.
Poor Ernest. He had many faults, but it is a sad, sad blow.
Very sad indeed. Were you with him at the end?
No, he died abroad. In Paris, in fact. I just had a telegram from the manager of the Grand Hotel.
Was the cause of death mentioned?
A severe chill, it seems.
But the man knows, so let him read.
None of us are perfect. I myself are peculiarly susceptible to drafts. Would the interment take place here?
No! He seems to have expressed a desire to be buried in Paris.
In Paris? Ooh. I hope we're taking a bit seriously to mind the loss. You no doubt wish me to make some slight allusion to this tragic domestic affliction in my sermon next Sunday. My sermon on the New York man and rubies can be adapted to any occasion. Joyful! Well, consider the present case distressing. I appreciate harvest celebrations, christenings, confirmations, days of humiliation, and festive days. The last time I did the village was in the cathedral as a charity sermon for the society of discontent among local orders. The bishop who was present was much struck by some of the inhabitants, I do.
Ah, you mentioned christenings, I believe, Dr. Chasuble. And you know how to christen, all right? I mean, you are continually christening, aren't you?
It is, I would venture to say, one of the rector's most constant duties in this parish. I've often spoken to the royal classes on the subject, but they don't seem to know what thrift is.
Is there any particular in whom you are interested in the wedding? People married, isn't it?
Oh, yes.
People who live entirely for pleasure usually are.
Well, it's not for any child, dear doctor. No, the fact is, I would like to be christened myself this afternoon, if you have nothing better to do.
Surely, Mr. Worthing, you've been christened already.
I don't remember anything about it.
Have you any grave doubts on the subject?
I certainly intend to, but I don't want to do it if this sort of thing would bother you, or if you think I'm too old now.
No, not at all. The sprinkling and indeed the immersion of adults is a perfectly canonical practice.
Immersion?
You need have no apprehensions, Mr. Worthing. Sprinkling is all that is necessary, or I think indeed advisable. But it is so changeable. What hour would you like the ceremony to be performed?
Oh, I make trot round about 5, if that would suit you.
Perfectly, perfectly. In fact, I have 2 similar ceremonies to perform at that hour. A case of twins that occurred along the outlying cottages on your estate. All Mr. Jenkins the carter is such a hard-working man.
Oh, but I don't see much fun being christened along with other babies. It would be childish. It would 5:30 suit you.
Perfectly, perfectly. And now, Mr. Worthing, I will not intrude any longer into your house of sorrow. I merely ask that you are not to be lied down by grief. What seems to us bitter trials are often blessings in disguise.
This seems to me to be a blessing of an extremely obvious kind.
Uncle Jack! Oh, I am pleased to see you back. But what horrid clothes you've got on. You go and change them.
Yes, indeed.
Child, my child.
What is the matter, Uncle Jack? You look happy. You look as if you had toothache. And I've got such a surprise for you. Who do you think is in the dining room? Your brother. You arrived about half an hour ago.
What nonsense. I haven't got a brother.
Oh, don't say that. However badly he may behave to you in the past, he's still your brother. You can be so heartless as to disown him. I'll tell him to come out and you shake hands with him, won't you, Uncle Jack?
These are very joyful tidings.
After we have all been resigned to his death, his sudden return seems to me peculiarly distressing.
I don't know what any of this means. I think it's perfectly absurd.
Brother John, I have come up from town to tell you that I'm very sorry for all the trouble I may have caused you, and that I intend to live a better life in the future.
Uncle Jack, you're not going to refuse your own brother's hand.
Nothing will induce me to take his hand. I think it's coming down here disgraceful. He knows perfectly well why.
Uncle Jack, do be nice. There's some good in everyone.
Ernest has just been telling me about his poor invalid friend, Mr.
So often.
And surely it only has good in one kind of invalid, at least the pleasures of London to sit by a bed of pain.
Uncle Jack, if you don't shake hands with Ernest, I will never forgive you.
Never forgive me.
Never, never, never.
Well, it is the last time I shall ever do it.
It is pleasant, is it not, to see so perfect a reconciliation?
Cecily, you will come with us.
Certainly, Miss Prism. No task of reconciliation is over.
It's an unbeatable action today, dear
We
child.
must not be premature in our judgments.
I feel very happy.
You young scoundrel, Algernon. You must get out of this place as soon as possible.
I have put Mr. Ernest's luggage in the room next to yours, sir. I suppose that is all right. Mr. Ernest's luggage, sir. I have placed it in the room next to your own.
His luggage.
Yes, sir. 3 portmanteaus, a dressing case, 2 hat boxes, and a large luncheon basket. I'm afraid I can't stay for more than a week this time.
Order the dog cart at once. Mr. Earnest has suddenly been called back to town.
Yes, sir. What a fearful liar you are, Jack. Not been called up to town at all.
Yes, you have.
I haven't, though.
Your duty as a gentleman calls you back.
My duty as a gentleman has never interfered with my pleasures in the smallest degree.
I can quite understand that.
Well, Cecily is a darling.
You're not to talk of Miss Cardew like that. I don't like it.
Well, I don't like your clothes. You look perfectly ridiculous in them. Why on earth did you go up and change? It's perfectly childish to be in deep mourning for a man who's staying with you for a whole week in your house as a guest. I call it grotesque.
You are certainly not staying at my house for a whole week as a guest or anything else. You have got to leave by the 4:05 train.
I certainly won't leave you so long as you were in mourning. It'd be most unfriendly. If I were in mourning, you would stay with me, I suppose. I would think it very unkind if you didn't.
But will you go if I change my clothes?
Yes, if you do not take too long. I've never seen anyone take so long to dress, and with such little result.
Well, at any rate, it is far better than being always overdressed as you are.
If I am occasionally a little overdressed, I certainly make up for it by being always extremely overeducated.
Your vanity is ridiculous. Your conduct an outrage, and your being in my garden is utterly absurd. However, you've got to leave by the 4:05. This bunburying, as you call it, has not been a great success for you.
Well, I think it has been a great success. I'm in love with Cecily, and that is everything. But I must see her before I go and make arrangements for another bunbury. Ah, there she is.
Oh! I merely came back to watch the roses. I thought you were with Uncle Jack.
He's gone to order the dog cups for me.
Oh, is he going to take you for a nice drive?
He's going to send me away.
Then have we got to part?
I'm afraid so. It is the most painful parting.
It is always painful to part from people who one has known for a very brief space of time. The absence of old friends one can endure with equanimity. But even a momentary separation from anyone to whom one has just been introduced is almost unbearable.
Thank you. The dog cart is at the door, sir.
You can wait, Merriman, for 5 minutes.
Yes. I hope, Cecily, I shall not offend you if I state quite frankly and openly that you seem to me to be in every way the visible personification of absolute perfection.
I think your frankness does you great credit, Ernest. If you will allow me, I'll copy your remarks into my diary.
You really keep a diary? I keep anything to look at it, ma'am.
Oh, no! You see, it is simply a very endless record of her own thoughts and impressions, and consequently meant for publication. When it appears in volume form, I hope you will order a copy. But pray, Ernest, don't stop. I delight in taking down from dictation. I have reached absolute perfection. You can go on. I'm quite ready for more. Oh, don't cough, Ernest. When one is dictating, one should speak fluently and not cough. Besides, I don't know how to spell a cough.
Ever since I looked upon your wonderful and incomparable beauty, I have dared to love you wildly, passionately, devotedly, hopelessly.
I don't think you should tell me you love me wildly, passionately, devotedly, hopelessly. Hopelessly doesn't seem to make much sense, does it?
Cecily, the dog cart is at the door, sir. Tell it to come around at the same hour next week. Yes, sir.
I thought Jack would be very much annoyed if he knew he was staying on until next week.
Oh, I don't care about Jack! I don't care about anyone in the whole world but you, Cecily. I love you. You'll marry me, won't you?
Oh, you silly boy, of course. Why, we have been engaged for the last 3 months.
For the last 3 months?
Yes, it will be exactly 3 months on Thursday.
But when did we become engaged?
Well, ever since your Uncle Jack first confessed to us he had a younger brother who was very wicked and bad. You, of course, have wanted a topical conversation between myself and Miss Prism. And of course, a man who is much talked about is always very attractive. One feels there must be something in him after all. I dare say it was foolish of me, but I fell in love with you, Ernest.
Darling, but when was the engagement actually settled?
On the 14th of February last. Worn out by your entire ignorance of my existence, I determined to end the matter one way or the other. And after a long struggle with myself, I accepted you under this dear old tree here. The next day I bought this little ring in your name, and this is the little bangle with which you love not. I want you to always swear.
Did I get you this? Oh, it is very pretty, isn't it?
Yes, you've wonderfully good taste, Ernest. It's the excuse I've always given for you leading such a bad life.
Cecily, you are a perfect angel.
You dear romantic boy. I hope your hair grows naturally. Does it?
Yes, with a little help from others.
Oh, I'm so glad.
You'll never break off our engagement, sister.
Oh, I don't think I can break it off now that I've actually met you. Besides, of course, there is still the question of your name.
Of course.
You must not laugh at me, darling. It had always been a girlish dream of mine to love someone whose name was Earnest. There is something in that name that seems to inspire absolute confidence. Oh, I pity any poor married woman whose husband is not called Ernest.
But you don't mean to say that you couldn't love me if I had some other name?
But what name?
Oh, any name you like. Algernon, for instance.
But I don't like the name of Algernon.
My dear, sweet, loving little darling. I don't see any reason why you should object to the name of Algernon. It is not at all a bad name. In fact, it is rather an aristocratic name. Half the chaps who get into the bankruptcy court are called Algernon. But seriously, Cecily, if my name was Algie, couldn't you love me?
I might respect you. I might admire your character, but I fear that I should not be able to give you my undivided attention.
Your rector here is thoroughly experienced in all the rites, practices, and ceremonials of the church.
Oh yes, Dr. Chasuble is the most learned man. He's never read a single book, so you can imagine how much he knows.
I must see him at once on a most important christening.
Oh,
I mean business. I shan't be away for more than half an hour.
Considering that we have been engaged since February the 14th, and that I only met you 2 days for the first time, I think it's rather hard that you should leave me for so long a period as half an hour. Couldn't you make it 20 minutes?
I'll be back in no time.
Oh, what an impetuous boy he is. I like his hair so much. I must enter his proposal in my diary.
Miss Fairfax has called to see Mr. Worthing on very important business, Miss Fairfax states.
Isn't Mr. Worthing in his library?
Mr. Worthing left in the direction of the rectory some time ago.
Pray, ask the lady to come out here. Mr. Worthing is sure to be back soon. And you'll be bringing tea.
Yes, miss.
Miss Fairfax. I suppose one of the many good elderly women who are associated with Uncle Jack in some of his philanthropic work in London. I don't quite like women who are interested in philanthropic work. I think you're so bored of them.
Miss Fairfax.
Pray, let me introduce myself to you. My name is Cecily Cardew.
Cecily Cardew. What a very sweet name. Something tells me that we are going to be great friends. I like you already more than I can say. My first impressions of people are never wrong.
How nice of you to like me so much after you've known each other such a comparatively short time. Pray, sit down.
I may call you Cecily, may I not?
With pleasure.
And you will always call me Gwendolen, won't you? If you wish. And that is all quite settled, is it not? I hope so. Perhaps this might be a favourable opportunity of my mentioning who I am. My father is Lord Bracknell. You have never heard of I suppose?
I don't think so.
Outside family circle, Papa, I am glad to say, is entirely unknown, and I think that is quite as it should be. The home seems to be the proper sphere for a man, and certainly when a man begins to neglect his domestic duties, he becomes painfully effeminate, does he not? And I don't like that. It makes men so very attractive. Cecily, Mamma, whose views in education are remarkably strict, has brought me up to be extremely short-sighted. It is part of her system. So, do you mind my looking at you through my glasses?
Oh, not at all, Gwendolen. I'm very fond of being looked at.
You are here on a short visit, I suppose?
Oh, no, I live here.
Really? Your mother, no doubt, or some female relative of advanced years resides here also.
Oh, no, I have no mother, nor in fact any relations.
Indeed.
My dear guardian, with the assistance of Miss Prism, has the arduous task of looking after me.
Your guardian?
Yes, I am Mr. Worthing's ward.
Oh, it is strange. He never mentioned to me that he had a ward. How secretive of him. He grows more interesting hourly. I am not sure, however, that the news inspires me with feelings of unmixed delight. I am very fond of you, Cecily. I have liked you ever since I met you. But I feel bound to state that now that I know that you are Mr. Worthing's ward, I can't help expressing a wish that you are, well, just a little older than you seem to be, and not quite so very alluring in appearance. In fact, if I may speak candidly...
Oh, pray do! I think that whenever one has anything unpleasant to say, one should always be quite candid.
Well, to speak with perfect candor, Cecily, I wish that you were fully 42 and more than you should claim for your age. Ernest has a strong, upright nature. He is the very soul of truth and honor. Disloyalty would be impossible to him as deception.
I beg your pardon, Gwendolen. Did you say Ernest?
Yes.
Oh, but it is not Mr. Ernest Worthing who is my guardian. It is his brother, his elder brother.
Ernest never mentioned to me that he had a brother.
Oh, I'm sorry to say they have not been on good terms for a long time.
Ah, that accounts for it. And now that I think of it, I have never heard any man mention his brother. The subject seems distasteful to most men. Cecily, you have lifted a load from my mind. I was growing almost anxious. It would have been terrible if any time to come across a friendship like ours, would it not? Of course, you are quite sure that it is not Mr. Ernest Worthing who is your guardian?
Quite sure. In fact, I'm going to be his.
I beg your pardon.
Dearest Gwendolen, there is no reason why I should make a secret of it to you. A little country newspaper is sure to chronicle the fact next week. Mr. Ernest Worthing and I are engaged to be married.
My darling Cecily, I think there must be some slight error. Mr. Ernest Worthing is engaged to me. The announcement will appear in the Morning Post on Saturday the latest.
I'm afraid you're under some misconception. Ernest proposed to me exactly 10 minutes ago.
It is certainly very curious, for he asked me to meet his wife yesterday afternoon at 5:30. If you care to verify the incident, pray, do so. I never travel without my diary. One should always have something sensational to read on the train. I am so sorry, dear Cecily, if it is any disappointment to you, but I'm afraid I have a private faith.
It would distress me more than I can tell you, dear Gwendolen, if it has caused you any mental or physical anguish. But I feel bound to point out that since Ernest proposed to you, he clearly has changed his mind.
If a poor fellow has been entrapped into any foolish promise, I shall consider it my duty to rescue him at once and with a firm hand.
Whatever unfortunate entanglement my dear boy may have got into, I will never reproach him with it after we are married.
You allude to me, Miss Cardew, as entanglement.
Do you suggest, Miss Fairfax, that I entrapped Ernest into an engagement?
You are presumptuous. On your papers. Moral confusing one's mind.
This is no time for wearing the shadow mask of manners. When I see a spade, I call it a spade.
I am glad to say that I have never seen a spade. It is obvious that our social sphere has been widely different.
Shall I place the tea here as usual, miss?
Yes, as usual.
Are there many interesting walks in the vicinity, Miss Cardew?
Oh yes, a great many. From the top of one of the hills quite close, one can see 5 counties.
5 counties? I don't think I should like that. I hate crowds.
I suppose that's why you live in town.
Quite a well-kept garden, this is Miss Cardew.
So glad you like it, Miss Fairfax.
I had no idea there were any flowers in the country.
Oh, flowers are as common here, Miss Fairfax, as people are in London.
Personally, I cannot understand how anybody manages to exist in the country. If anybody who is anybody does. The country always bores me to death.
Oh, this is what the newspapers call agricultural depression, is it not? I hear the aristocracy is suffering very much from it just at present. It is almost an epidemic amongst them, I've been told. May I offer you some tea, Miss Fairfax?
Thank you, detestable girl. But I require tea.
Sugar?
No, thank you. Sugar is not fashionable anymore.
Ah? Cake or bread and butter?
Bread and butter, please. Cake is rarely seen at the best houses nowadays.
And that, Miss Fairfax.
You have filled my tea with lumps of sugar. And though I asked most distinctly for bread and butter, you have given me cake. I am known for the gentleness of my disposition and the extraordinary sweetness of my nature. But I warn you, Miss Cardew, you may go too far.
To save my poor, innocent, trusting boy from the machinations of any other girl, there are no lengths to which I would not go.
The moment I saw you, I trusted you. I felt that you were false and deceitful. I have never deceived in such matters. My first impressions of people are invariably right.
It seems to me, Miss Fairfax, that I am trespassing on your valuable time. No doubt you have many other calls of a similar nature to make in the neighborhood.
Ernest! My own Ernest!
Dear Gwendolen.
A moment. May I ask if you engaged to be married to this young lady?
To dear little Cecily? Of course not. And what could put such an idea into your pretty little head?
Thank you. You may.
I knew there must be some misunderstanding, Miss Fairfax. The gentleman whose arms at present around your waist is my guardian, Mr. John Worthing.
I beg your pardon?
This is Uncle Jack.
Jack! Oh.
My own love.
A moment, Ernest. May I ask you, are you engaged to be married to this young lady?
To what young lady?
Good heaven.
What put such an idea into your pretty little head?
Thank you, you may.
I thought there was some slight error, Miss Cardew. The gentleman who has now embraced you is my cousin, Mr. Algernon and Cecily.
Algernon.
I can deny it if I like. I can deny anything if I like. But my name certainly is John. It has been John for years.
A gross deception has been practiced on both of us.
I know, it's Cecily.
My sweet Rose.
You will call me sister, won't you?
There is just one question I would like to be allowed to ask my guardian.
Ooh, an admirable idea. Mr. Worthing, there is just one question which I'd like to be permitted to put to you. Where is your brother Ernest?
We are both engaged to be married to your brother Ernest.
So it is a matter of sudden importance to us to know where your brother Ernest is at present.
Gwendolen, Cecily, it is very painful for me to have to speak the truth. It is the first time in my life I've ever been reduced to such a painful position. But I must tell you frankly that I have no brother, Ernest. I have no brother at all. I never had a brother in all my life, and I certainly have no small intention of ever having one in the future.
No brother at all?
None.
Have you never had a brother of any kind?
Never. Not even of any kind.
I'm afraid it is quite clear, Cecily, that neither of us is engaged to be married to anyone.
This isn't a very pleasant position for a young girl to suddenly find herself in, is it?
Let's go into the house. They will hardly venture on after us there.
No, men are so cowardly, aren't they?
This ghastly state of things is what you call bunburying, I suppose?
Yes, and what a wonderful bunbury it's been. One of the most wonderful bunburies I've ever had in my life.
Well, you have no right whatsoever to bunbury here.
That is absurd. One has a right to bunbury wherever one chooses. Every serious bunbury knows that.
Serious bunbury, good heavens.
Well, one must be serious about something if one wants to have any amusement in life. I have to be serious about bunburying. But you are serious about it. I haven't the smallest idea. Probably everything I should imagine of an absolutely trivial nature.
Well, the only small satisfaction I have in the whole of this wretched business is the fact that your friend Bunbury is quite exploded.
Your brother is a little off colour, isn't he, dear Jack?
You won't be able to run down to the country quite as often as you do, and a very good thing too.
You won't be able to disappear to London quite so frequently as your wicked custom was, and not a bad thing either.
As for your conduct towards Miss Cardew, I must say that you're taking in a sweet, simple, innocent girl like that is quite an excuse.
I can see no possible offence at all for your deceiving a brilliant, clever, thoroughly experienced young lady like Miss Fairfax.
To say nothing of the fact that she is my ward.
To say nothing of the fact that she is my cousin.
I wanted to be engaged to Gwendolen, that's all. I love her.
I simply wanted to be engaged to Cecily. I adore her.
There certainly is no chance of your ever marrying Cecily.
I don't think there's much likelihood, Jack, of you and Miss Fairfax ever being united.
But that is no business of yours.
If it was my business, I wouldn't talk about it. It's very vulgar to talk about one's business. Only stockbrokers do that, and then merely at dinner parties.
How you can sit there calmly eating muffins when we are in this horrible trouble I can't make out.
You seem to be perfectly heartless. Well, I can't eat muffins in an agitated manner. I'd probably get butter on my cup. Must eat muffins quite calmly. It is the only way to eat them.
I say it's perfectly heartless you're eating muffins at all, under the circumstances.
I'm in trouble. Eating is the only thing that consoles me. Indeed, when I am in really great trouble, anyone who knows me intimately will tell you, I refuse everything except food and drink. At the present moment, I am eating because I am unhappy. Besides, I am particularly fond of muffins.
I wish to goodness you would go.
I can't leave without having my dinner. I never leave without having my dinner. It's absurd. No one ever does, except for vegetarians and people like that. Besides, I made arrangements with Dr. Chasuble to be christened at 6:15 under the name of Earnest.
My dear fellow, the sooner you give up this nonsense, the better. I made arrangements myself this morning with Dr. Chasuble to be christened at 5:30. I naturally will take the name of Earnest. Gwendolen would wish it. We can't both be christened Earnest, that is absurd. Besides, I have a perfect right to be christened if I like. There is no evidence whatsoever that I have ever been christened by anybody. I should think it highly probable I never have been. is entirely different in your case. You have been christened already.
Yes, but I haven't been christened for years.
Yes, but you have been christened. That is the important
Quite
thing.
so I know my constitution can stand it. Well, I'm not sure about your ever having been christened. I think it's very dangerous you're venturing on it now. It might make you very unwell. You could hardly have forgotten that someone very closely connected to you was very nearly carried off this week in Paris by a severe chill.
That a severe chill was not hereditary.
It used to be, I know, but I dare say it is now. Science is always making wonderful improvements in things.
That is nonsense. You're always talking nonsense.
Jack, you're at the muffins again. I wish you wouldn't. There are only 2 left.
But I hate tea cake.
Then why on earth do you allow tea cake to be served up to your guests? What ideas you have of hospitality?
Okay. I have already asked you to go. I don't want you here. Why don't you go?
I have not quite finished my tea yet. There is still 1 muffin left.
The fact that they did not follow us at once into the house, as anyone else would have done, seems to me to show that they have some sense of shame left. They've been eating muffins. That looks like repentance. They don't seem to notice it at all. Couldn't you call? But I haven't got a call. They're looking at us. What effrontery.
They're approaching. That's very forward of them.
Let us preserve a dignified silence.
Exactly. It's the only thing to do now.
All sighing and burning and dreaming and turning will follow me as before.
This dignified silence seems to produce an unpleasant effect.
A most distasteful one.
But we will not be the first to speak.
Certainly not.
Mr. Worthing, there is just one question which I have to ask you. Much depends on your reply.
Gwendolen, your common sense is invaluable. Mr. Moncrief, kindly answer me the following question. Why do you pretend to be my guardian's brother?
So that I may have the opportunity of meeting you.
That certainly seems a satisfactory explanation, does it not?
Yes, dear, if you can believe him.
I don't. But that does not affect the wonderful beauty of his answer.
True, if that is a brave report in style, not sincerity is the vital thing. Mr. Worthing, what explanation can you offer me for pretending to have a brother? Was it in order that you might have the opportunity of coming to town as often as you'd like to see me?
Can you doubt it, Miss Fairfax?
I have the greatest sense upon the subject, but I intend to crush them. This is not the moment for German skepticism. Their answers are going to be quite satisfactory, especially Mr. Worthing's. That seems to have a sound of truth upon it.
Well, I am more than content with what Mr. Moncrief said. His voice alone inspires one with absolute credulity.
Then you think we should forgive them?
Yes. I mean, no.
True, I had forgotten. There are principles at stake for not surrender. Which of us should tell them? The task is not a pleasant one.
Could we not both speak at the same time?
An excellent idea. I nearly always speak at the same time as other people. Take the time for me.
Certainly. Your Christian names are still an insuperable barrier. That is all.
Our Christian names? Is that all? But we are going to be christened this afternoon.
For my sake, you are willing to do this terrible thing to please me. You are ready to face this fearful ordeal.
I am.
How absurd! The equality of the sexes. Matters of self-sacrifice. Men are infinitely beyond us.
We are.
There are moments of physical courage of which we women know absolutely nothing.
Darling.
Lady Bracknell.
Gwendolen! What does this mean? Merely that I am engaged to Mr. Worthing, Mamma.
Come here. Sit down. Sit down immediately. Apprised, sir, of my daughter's sudden flight by a trusty maid whose confidence I purchased by means of a small coin, I followed her at once by a luggage train. Her unhappy father is, I am glad to say,
under the impression that she's attending a more than usually lengthy by the University Extension Scheme on the permanent influence on thought. However, you are clearly aware that all communication between yourself and my daughter must cease immediately at this moment. On this point, as on all points,
I am engaged to be married to Gwendolen, Lady Bracknell.
You are nothing of the kind, son. And now, as regards Algernon, may I ask if it is in this house that your invalid friend, Mr. Bunbury, resides?
Bunbury? No, Bunbury doesn't live here. In fact, what Bunbury said.
When did he die? His death must have been extremely sudden.
Bunbury died this afternoon. I killed Bunbury this afternoon.
What did he die of?
Bunbury? He was quite exploded.
Was he the victim of a revolutionary outbreak?
What I mean to say, Augusta, was that Bunbury was found out. I mean, the doctors found out that Bunbury could no longer live, so he died.
He seems to have great confidence in the opinion of his physician. He made up his mind at last to some definite course of action, and acted under proper medical advice. And now that we've finally got rid of this Mr. Bunbury, may I ask, Mr. Worthing, who is that young person whose hand my nephew Algernon is now holding, in what seems to me a peculiarly unnecessary manner?
That lady is Miss Cecily Cardew, my ward.
I'm engaged to Cecily, Aunt Augusta.
I beg your pardon?
Are engaged to be married, Lady Bracknell.
I do not know whether there is anything peculiarly exciting in the air at this particular part of Portchester, but the number of engagements that go on seem to me considerably above the proper average. The statistics have laid out for our guidance. I think some preliminary inquiry on my part will not be out of place. Mr. Wilde, is Miss Cardew connected at all to any of the larger railway stations in London? I merely inquired information. Until yesterday, I had no idea there were any families or persons whose origins was a terminus.
Miss Cardew, Lady Bracknell, is the granddaughter of the late Mr. Thomas Cardew of 149 Belgrave Square, SW, Jervis Park, Dorking, Surrey, and the Sporen, Fifeshire, NB.
So far I am satisfied. 3 addresses inspires confidence even in tradesmen. But what proof have I of their authenticity?
I have carefully preserved the court guides of the period. They are open to your inspection, Lady Bracknell.
So far I am satisfied.
That is very kind of you, Lady Bracknell. However, I cannot allow her to marry.
On what grounds? There.
It pains me very much to speak to you frankly, Lady Bracknell, about your nephew. But I suspect him of being untruthful.
Untruthful? My nephew Algernon? Impossible, he's an Oxonian.
I'm afraid there can be no possible doubt about the matter. This afternoon, during my temporary absence in London on an important question of romance, he obtained admission to my house by means of the false pretense of being my brother. Under an assumed name, he drank, I've just been informed by my butler, an entire pint bottle of Perrier Jouet Brut 89, wine I was specially reserving for myself. Continuing his disgraceful deception, he succeeded in the course of an afternoon in alienating the affections of my only ward.
Well, after careful consideration, I've decided entirely to overlook my nephew's conduct.
That is very kind of you, Lady Bracknell.
Gwendolen, The time approaches for our departure. We've not a moment to lose. But as a matter of form, Mr. Worthing, I'd better ask you if Miss Collier has any little fortune.
Oh, about £130,000, and in the funds. Thank you, Lady Bracknell. So pleased to have seen you.
One minute, Mr. Worthing. £130,000. And in the funds. Miss Cardew seems to be a most attractive young lady now that I look at her. Few ladies of the present day have any really solid qualities. Solid qualities that last and improve with time. We live, I regret to say, in an age of purposes. Come here, dear child. Pretty child. Your dress is sadly simple and your hair looks ever since nature left it. But we can soon alter that. A thoroughly experienced French maid produces a marvelous result in a very brief span of time. I remember recommending one to young Lady Lancing, and after 3 months her own husband did not know her.
And after 6 months, nobody knew her.
Kindly turn around. No, it's the side view I want. Yes. Quite as I expected. There are distinct social possibilities in Miss Cardew's profile. The two weak points of our age is want of principle and want of profile. Chin a little higher here. Style largely depends on the way the chin is worn, and they are worn very high at present. Algernon.
Yes, Aunt Augusta?
There are distinct social possibilities in Miss Cardew's profile.
Cecily is the dearest, sweetest, prettiest girl in the whole world, and I don't care 2 pence about social possibilities.
Never speak disrespectfully of society, Algernon. Only people who can't get into it do that. Well, I must give my consent.
Thank you, Aunt Augusta.
Thank you, Aunt Augusta. Cecily, you may kiss me. You may also address me as Aunt Augusta for the future.
Thank you, Aunt Augusta.
Thank you, Aunt Augusta.
The marriage, I think, had better take place quite soon.
Thank you, Aunt Augusta.
To speak frankly, I do not approve of long engagements. They give people the opportunity of finding out each other's character beforehand, which I never think is advisable.
Pray excuse me for interrupting you, Lady Bracknell, but I decline absolutely to give my consent.
Algernon is an ostentatiously, may I almost say, extremely eligible young man. He looks everything, but he has nothing. What more can you desire?
May I remind you, Lady Bracknell, that I do not approve at all of his moral character. I suspect him of being untruthful.
But I already told you that I have overlooked my nephew's conduct here.
Lady Bracknell, this afternoon, during my temporary absence in London, he obtained admission to my house by means of the false pretense of being my brother. Under an assumed name, he drank, I've just been informed by my butler again, an entire pint bottle of dairy-aged grapefruit 89 wine. Continuing his disgraceful deception, he managed in the course of an afternoon alienating the affections of my only ward.
Yes, but we've already gone over that, haven't we? How old are you, dear?
Well, I'm really only 18, but I always admit to 20 when I go to evening parties.
You are quite right in making some slight alteration. Indeed, no woman should be entirely accurate about her age. It looks so calculating. 18, but admitting to 20 at evening parties. Well, it will not be very long before you are of age and free of the restraints of tutelage. So indeed, I do not think our guardian's consent is of any importance.
I must interrupt you again, Lady Bracknell. But according to the terms in Miss Cecily Cardew's grandfather's will, she does not come of age until she is 35.
Well, I do not see why that is a grave objection. 35 is a very attractive age. London high society have, of their own free choice, remain 35 per year. I do not see why Miss Cordew would not be any more attractive at the age you mentioned than she is at present. There will be a lot of accumulation of property.
Algie, did you wait for me till I was 35?
Of course I could, Cecily, you know I could.
Yes, I felt it instinctively. Though I could not wait all that time. I hate waiting even 5 minutes for anybody. It always makes me rather cross. I'm not punctual myself, I know that, but I do like punctuality in others. And waiting, even to be married, is quite out of the question.
Then what shall we do?
I don't know, Mr. Moncrief.
Mr. Worthing? As Miss Cordew states positively that she cannot wait till she is 35, a remark which I am bound to say shows a somewhat impatient nature, I beg you to reconsider.
But my dear Lady Bracknell, the matter is entirely in your own hands. The moment you consent to my marriage with Gwendolen, I will allow your nephew to form an alliance with my ward.
You are well aware that what you propose is entirely out of the question.
Then a passionate life of celibacy is anything any of us can look forward to.
That is not the destiny I propose for Gwen. Algernon, of course, can choose for himself. Come, dear, we have missed 5, if not 6 trains. To miss any more will expose us to coming on our platform.
Everything is quite ready for the christenings.
The christening? Is that not somewhat premature?
Both of these gentlemen have expressed a desire for immediate baptism.
Their age? The idea is grotesque and irreligious. Algernon, I forbid you to be baptized. I will not hear of such excesses. If Lord Bracknell learned that that was the way that you wasted your time and money, he would be highly displeased.
Am I to understand there will be no christenings at all this afternoon?
I'm afraid that as things are now, it wouldn't be of much practical value to either of us, Dr. Chasuble.
I'm grieved to hear such sentiments from you, Mr. Worthing. They speak of heretical views of the Anabaptists, views I've completely refuted in 4 of my unpublished sermons. However, his mood seems to be one peculiarly secular. I will return to the church at once. Indeed, I've just been informed by the purebred that for the past hour and a half, Miss Prism has been waiting for me in the vestry.
Prism? Did I hear you mention a Miss Prism?
Yes, Lady Bracknell, I'm on my way to join her.
Pray, allow me to detain you for a moment. This matter may be proved to be one of utmost importance to myself and Lord Bracknell. Is this Miss Prism, a female of repellent aspect, remotely connected to education?
She's the most cultivated of ladies and a very picture of respectability.
It is obviously the same person. What position does she hold in your household?
I am celibate, madam.
Miss Prism, Lady Bracknell, has been for the past 3 years Miss Cecily Cardew's valued companion and admirable governess.
Despite of what I hear of her, I must hear at once. Let her be sent forward.
She approaches. She's dying.
I was so expect me in the vestry, Kevin. I've been waiting for you there for an hour and 3/4.
Prism? Where is that baby? 28 years ago, Prism, you left Lord Bracknell's house, number 104 up Grosvenor Street, in charge of a perambulator containing a baby of the male sex. You never returned. A few weeks later, through the elaborate investigations of the Metropolitan Police, the perambulator was discovered at midnight standing itself on a remote corner of Bayswater. It contained a manuscript of a 3-volume novel of a more than usually revolting sentimentality. But the baby was not there. Prism? Where is that baby?
Lady Bracknell, I admit with shame that I do not know. I only wish I did. The plain facts of the case are these. On the morning of the day you mentioned, the day that is forever branded on my memory, I had as usual to take the baby out of this perambulator. I had also with me somewhat old, a but capacious handbag in which I had intended to place the manuscript of a work of fiction I had written during my few unoccupied hours. In a moment of mental abstraction for which I can never forgive myself, I deposited the manuscript in the bassinet and placed the baby in the handbag.
matter of no small importance. I insist on knowing where you deposited the handbag that contained the infant.
I left it in the cloakroom of one of the larger railway stations in London.
What railway station?
Victoria. The Brighton line.
I must retire to my room for a moment. Gwendolen, wait here for me.
If you're not too long, I'll wait for you here all my life.
What do you think this means, Lady Bracknell?
I dare not even suspect, Dr. Chasuble. I need hardly tell you that in families of high position, strange coincidences are not supposed to occur. They are hardly the same.
Uncle Jack seems strangely agitated.
Your guardian has a very emotional nature.
Well, this noise is extremely unpleasant. It sounds as if we were having an argument. I dislike arguments of any kind. They are always vulgar and often convincing.
We should stop now.
Oh, I knew I'm at some conclusion.
The suspense is terrible. I hope it will last.
Is this the handbag, Miss Prism? Examine it carefully before you speak. The happiness of more than one life depends on your answer.
It seems to be mine. Yes! Here's the entry received through the upsetting of a Gower Street omnibus in younger and happier days. And here is a stain on the lining caused by the explosion of a temperance beverage, an incident that occurred in Leamington. And here on the lock are my initials. I had forgotten that in extravagant mood I had them placed there. But the bag is undoubtedly mine. I'm so pleased to have had it so unexpectedly restored to me. It's been a great inconvenience being without it all these years.
Miss Prism, more is restored to you than this handbag. I was the baby you placed in it.
You?
Yes. Mother!
Mr. Worthing, I am unmarried.
Unmarried? I cannot deny that this is a serious blow. But who has a right to cast a stone against one who has suffered? Cannot repentance wipe out an act of folly? Why should there be one law for men and another for women? Mother, I forgive you.
Well, there must be some sort of error. There is a lady who can tell you who you really are.
Lady Bracknell, I hate to seem inquisitive, but would you kindly inform me who I am?
The information I am about to give you will not altogether please you. You are the son of my poor sister, Mrs. Moncrief, and consequently, Algernon's elder brother.
His elder brother? I always said I had a brother. I always knew I had a brother. Cecily, how could you have doubted that I had a brother? My unfortunate brother. My unfortunate brother. My unfortunate brother. Now, you young scoundrel, you'll have to treat me with more respect in the future. You'll behave to me like a brother in all your life.
Well, not till today, old boy, I admit, though I was a little out of practice.
My own. But what own are you? What is your Christian name now that you become someone else?
Good heavens, I'd quite forgotten that point. Your decision on the subject of my name is irrevocable, I suppose.
I never change, except in my affections.
What a noble nature you have, Gwendolen.
Then the question better be cleared up at once. Aunt Augusta, a moment. At the time Miss Prism deposited me in the handbag, had I been christened already?
Every luxury that money could buy had been lavished upon you by your fond and doting parents.
Then I was christened, that is settled. Now, what name was I given? Let me know the worst.
Being the eldest son, you are naturally christened after your father.
Yes, but what was my father's Christian name?
I cannot at the present moment recall what it was. He was an eccentric man, but indigestion and things of
Algernon.
that
His Christian name was...
We were not even on speaking terms. He died before I was a year old.
The name would appear in the military records of the period, Aunt Augusta.
The general was essentially a man of peace, except in his domestic life. But no,
The military records of the last 40 years are here. These delightful records should have been my constant study. M. Generals. Markby, Migsby, Mobs. What ghastly names they have. Moncrief, Lieutenant Colonel, General, 1869, Christian names, Earnest John. I always told you my name was Ernest. I mean, it naturally is Ernest.
Yes, I remember now. I knew I had a particular reason for disliking the name.
Ernest, my own Ernest. I felt at first that you could have no other name.
Gwendolen, it is a terrible thing for a man to find out quite suddenly that all his life he has been speaking nothing but the truth. You forgive me?
I can, for I feel that you are sure to change.
My own one.
I've come to the conclusion that the primitive church was in error on certain points. Miss Pearson, Letitia, I beg to solicit the honor of your hand.
Oh, Frederick, at last!
Cecily, at last.
Gwendolen, have love.
My nephew, you seem to be displaying signs of triviality.
On the contrary, Aunt Augusta, I've now realized for the first time in my life the vital importance of being earnest.
We shall indulge taste, distinguished and amazed,
And high in the little ranks of illusion, keep around his days.
a most intense man,
A sober-eyed man,
An ultra-royal super stable out of the way of man.
A Transylvania man, a Somerset House young man,
A very delectable, highly respectable, everyday young man.
for